Hey, good morning everybody. John Bergsman here. Scott Cormier, resident Upper Peninsula bass fisherman, and we're here in beautiful Curtis, Michigan on South Manistique Lake for another episode of Midsummer Bassin'. Scott's got a new thing he's going to show me today, a cutter worm swimming worm, and I've never fished this way, so I'm here to learn a little bit today. Stay tuned for a great show here in Curtis, Michigan on South Manistique Lake.
Fishy. There you go, John.
And Scott just pointed out, I don't know if Brett can show you, see how these reeds come to a tip and then they curl back in a cup? That's a great looking spot to have bass just show up. And I just, maybe 2 or 3 casts ago, I switched, and it's a great shot for Brett to show you. I put this little 16th ounce head on instead of a weightless, but if you're going to be moving, you got to have something that will drop you. So putting that 16th or an 1/8 ounce on, this happens to be a VMC product, and it really helps getting. And I like that kale style hook too, and just a little black head is all you need, and you can flip that thing right in close to the reeds and weeds and let that settle right on the edge. Oh, is that a big fish? Look at that splash. And you can see that's the netter. Right, oh, look at that fish out there. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish. I tell you what, that little bit of weight, just that little bit of weight, Scott, allows me to work that faster. Guys, see that? That's a great shot of the way that weight is right there. And I'm just dropping cast. He's leading out in front of me with a swimming, and I'm just going behind him slowly.
Got him.
You got him, Scotty. Get him.
Out in front of the
big one.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice one.
That's a nice one. Right out in front. Scott, he's making way for me, and he throws that darn jig of his. Look at that one, Scotty. Well, I tell you what, Scott, I'll let you talk about that Garmin foot pedal, because I am a walleye guy who uses the little lanyard, but you're a foot pedal guy, and that's one of the cool things about this unit.
Yeah, I actually sent John a text last night because obviously he uses his remote so much. But being a bass guy, I really need a foot pedal, especially with as much time as we're going to be doing here. Boat docks, the outside weed edges, is a lot easier to control the boat for me, not thinking about it because I've been doing it for so long with the foot pedal. So just having this Garmin network just helps so much. Fish. Oh
gosh. Oh my gosh, they're in between the docks, Scotty.
Yep, they're on this edge.
That's the second time he's casted.
Look at that one, John.
Turn and talk. The jig is slamming, Scotty. Now, how are you working that for the guys wanting to learn?
This one, actually, I just threw it out like you were just talking about, just throwing it out, letting it sit. As soon as you hit the bottom, just letting it sit there for a couple seconds, then jumped it once. And as soon as I jumped it once, the line jumped and the fish started swimming off with it. So usually that means there's more than one here. So yeah, because you can see it's a really super shallow, sandy flat that's up inside.
Drop.
Yep, and then it drops to this outside.
And we're not talking deep water here on the Garmin. We're talking about just 4 or 5 foot of water, which
absolutely, that's that first break as soon as they come off the shore. So these fish were probably up there last night feeding on mayflies, chasing the bluegills around, and now they're just backing off this drop, getting into this first weed growth here.
Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Angler Quest, built with purpose. Traxstech, the ultimate fishing system. Strike King, tie one on. Garmin.
We all want to keep moving, and we all need fuel to do it. Now, with the revolutionary Flo-Fast system, you can fuel up and keep moving from literally anywhere. Flo-Fast will pump or siphon an amazing 8 gallons per minute, so you can get back to what you do best. To find out more about Flo-Fast, go to Flo-Fast.com. Flo-Fast. Fuel up. Keep moving.
It's a blue, yo.
No, he's still on.
Good, get him. So lesson 101 on how to get a hooked fish. Oh yeah, nice fish too.
Yeah. Just hold on to him. But yeah, the cutter worm, threw the cutter worm up here in these reeds and got a really good hit. But he got me right down in the base of the reed head and just kind of stuck himself, and we just held on to him and let him work his way out, so. Fish.
Fish, 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 get him.
He's coming.
Oh, he's a nice one too, from the looks of it.
He's got some grass with him.
He's got some grass. Ooh, it's a nice fish. Yeah.
Tell you what, that cutter worm is so good in this kind of stuff. Nice little healthy fish. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing the larger cutter worm. John's throwing the smaller one. This is the plum. Got it on a 5-aught hook. Just burying the point in the plastic so it can come through the reeds. A little 16th ounce head.
And what you taught me is the key here is tip up high, right?
Tip up high, yep.
So that way it kind of crawls over top of the reeds.
Yep, and you can let it fall just like you're throwing a swim bait. You know, every once in a while, if you get a nice little spot in the reeds that you want it to fall into, go ahead and let it fall. If you see the pads and stuff moving behind you where a fish is coming up to you, you want to drop it to them. Fish.
I guess I'm not that big of an idiot. I can catch one. Well, guys, my first cutter worm fish, black and blue. That was cool because it was exactly like Scotty said. You can see a good shot of that. You got just this little 1/8 ounce weight on the front. You got number 4 offset, and you just slide that down. And that cutter worm's got a groove. So that hook point lays right in there. And I mean, you can pull that through anything. And that's cool. I mean, nice little keeper size fish, nothing big yet, but we are early in the day. We've just been working this edge, and Brett might be able to show it to you right there. Sand points, and then right away off the sand points, the drop and then the weeds right along that discoloration line. That has been the key.
Something big moved right there, see it?
Yeah.
There, you got him.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a big one. It's a train. Look at this one, guys.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. There we go, John. Look at that one.
Scotty just said to me, something big moved right there.
Yes,
Look at
it
that
was.
gnarly old thing. Wow, this fish is, he took it in and popped it. I will. We're gonna show you. Scotty, hold my rod.
Yep.
I wanna show you guys. Look at where he hit that cutter worm. I mean, you think they wanted that thing? Whack! You get those fish in that deep water, I mean in that shallow water, Scott, they make decisions quick, don't they?
And like I said, it's amazing with how thick this cover is and how quick you're swimming that worm through there, how good they get it all the time.
Oh, man.
See what happens when I take it in my big fish spot?
That's a 5-pounder. All right. And Scotty gave me quick lessons. And I'm telling you what, I'm literally shocked. I mean, he said, oh, there's big movement right there. And I mean, the next cast, doing just what he said. And I'm gonna do it for you right here, guys. I'll show you the key that he showed me, and it's true. And number one, that cutter worm's got that little slit in there, so that can get into this. You see, just thick pads. I mean, and you're just flipping out into it. And the key is just high tip, high tip. Just let it go, and it makes its way through. And I mean, you would think you couldn't feel the bite, but I felt that bite, Scotty.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, now granted, that fish took it in.
Yeah, he ate it. But I mean, that's how those fish, when they commit to getting that lure, they really get it.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was deep. That lure was buried in that fish's mouth. So.
Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Kraft, the toughest built aluminum boats, bar none. Dreamweaver, home of the revolutionary spin doctor. Lose, feel the difference. WavePro, best ride on the water.
WavePro high-performance boat pedestals eliminate bottoming out and back-jarring impacts. Now available the 2.0 version and slider seat hubs. The best in air shock technology provides a controlled return to keep you on your seat. Fast and easy to install with permanent mounts or movable hubs for quick and easy seat placement in 10 to 16-inch models. WavePro, high-performance boat pedestals, best ride on the water. Online at waveproshock.com.
Fish.
Fish on. Get him, Scotty.
Oh, it's a big one.
Good. Net.
Oh, not that big. I'll get him.
You sure?
Yep, I'll get him.
That's a big one.
Okay, he's bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'll get him, he says.
I just saw the flash. I didn't know how big he was.
Well, we're working an edge, and that's a perfect example of weed fishing, ain't it, Scotty?
Yep, again, just working that outside sand to weed transition, except this one's about 12 feet of water, so we're a little bit further out, and I just pitched it to a weed clump that was on the bottom there, and again, then he brought a structure jig, 1/2 ounce, Falcon Leg Craw. It's a killer.
Awesome, awesome. There's fish on that edge, Scott.
Oh yeah. Let's try to get back there. But boy, you look at what's right underneath the boat right here. If you look on the graph, look on the Garmin, those are those big weed clumps we're fishing. You can see all the fish down the backside.
What's really kind of cool too, Scott, is you're using a heavy 1/2 ounce jig. I'm using the cutter worm. Both will fish right through those weeds.
Absolutely.
Beautifully.
Fish.
Fish. Nice one.
Yeah, feels like it.
Prop.
He's down there. I'll tell you what, these outside weed line edges are doing it today.
They are, and we just moved. Scott, talk about that. And we went to a different spot on the lake, same circumstance.
Same circumstance, but we just went to a different spot on the lake. The wind's actually blowing right in on this drop right now. Let me throw this one back in. So the wind's actually blowing right into this drop off right now, and we figured that the fish and the bait fish might be pushed up along this drop. So we wanted to come up here and see what we can do.
So what we're doing, Scott's fishing, I'm fishing the outside shallower edge. The boat's in about 8. The drop is at about 4 and it slopes down to 8. I'm fishing a cutter worm, he's fishing a jig. So we want to let the guy with the jig choose where he wants to fish because he's the one who's going to be the most precise. Whereas with this cutter worm, I can simply fan cast, let it sink into the weeds and rip it or swim it over the top. So you always want the guy with the most precise presentation to be fishing in the boat on the bow where he wants. So on this particular situation, the drop-off's on Scott's side. We're gonna let Scott choose and he's fishing on that drop-off side.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on spot lock.
Sure.
Oops, sorry. There we go,
Yeah.
John.
That's a beauty. Got that little weight right there, that cutter worm. This is Scotty teaching me new stuff. That little tail, that cutter worm has got that little tail and it just flaps right there in the wind. And it's an awesome way to fish, I'm telling you what. Awesome, awesome fish. Cutter worms, jigs, you name it right now. And you can see with the sun shining right here, hopefully you guys at home can see, that's 2 foot of sand right there. This whole shoreline is just all a big shoreline sandbar, and we're just on this dark side of it, just making a downwind drift right now. And you're just taking what the lake gives you. You know, don't fight it. That's what I would say. You know, we've caught maybe 15 keepers today, and we're not fighting anything. We've got some substantial wind. So rather than trying to go into it and cast into it, no, just turn your boat around, do a controlled drift, cast with it. That's the way to maximize fishing time.
Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Offshore Tackle Products, Flo-Fast, world's leading portable fluid transfer system, Drotto, catch and release boat system.
Make loading and unloading your boat easy with the Drotto Catch and Release Automatic Boat Latch. Load with ease. Simply drive on the trailer and the Drotto will automatically latch to your bow eye. A hard plastic liner protects your boat. For launching, back your boat in, pull the release lever, and away you go. For roller or bunk trailers, the Drotto is quick and easy to install and works with most V-hull boats. Spend less time at the landing and more time fishing. The Drotto Catch and Release Automatic Boat Latch. Online at DrottoProducts.com.
We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here.
There he comes.
That's a nice one, Scotty.
That cutter worm strikes again. I'm throwing the bigger one.
That's a beautiful fish, actually. Nice one. Good job, Scotty.
Get him back.
That was off the outside edge too, and that was just me bopping it. Here he comes, he's gonna jump some wild. Yeah. There's fish here, Scotty. Yes, there is. There's fish in this here legs. Oh, he's gonna jump again. They're hard fighting fish, I'll tell you. Yeah, and that's the cutter worm. So it's kind of like Scotty's catching them on a jig, I'm catching them on a cutter worm. It's really just about the location of the fish being on that outside edge. Do you think, Scott?
Oh, I think so.
Beautiful, beautiful. Just a little guy. Scott catches big ones, I catch little ones.
You caught a big one.
I caught a big one. I caught the big one.
Right.
Actually, you're right. The 5-pounder I caught on my cutter worm that was Godzilla in the weeds, but it's just fun. I'm learning this new style, new presentation. So let's talk about this a little bit, Scotty, while we're here right now for today's tackle box. You got yours, I got mine. Go ahead and talk about these two baits.
Well, this here's the cutter worm. This is actually the smaller cutter worm. They make 2 different sizes. John's been throwing the cutter worm. This actually, you can see the tail's actually ripped off this one. So what we're doing is on a 4-rod, ultra wide shank hook, 1/16 or an 1/8 ounce slip sinker, loose, not pegged. So that way when he's throwing it up there, when he's reeling it, it's actually just coming through the weeds very, very easy, and that tail is just flickering back and forth. And then when he drops it down, it acts just like you're fishing a Texas rig. And then I'm throwing the big 1/2 ounce. This one happens to be the black and blue jig. Structure jig, this one's got the Rage Craw on the back. I was throwing a Rage Menace also, so throwing it on 20-pound Strike King Tour Grade fluorocarbon, throwing it on a Lew's TP1 7'3" medium heavy rod, speed spool reel. That's all you need.
It's just reel.
Catch them, that's all you do, reel and catch them.
Just throw it out there. I just said to Scott, I like how easy this thing catfishes. I just chucked it out there and the thing just started to swim away from me. And that, my friends, is how easy it fishes, right there. Not a big one by any means, but lots of fun, lots of fun. Tell you what, when you're looking for a vacation spot here in the UP, tell you what, there's a lot of great spots to go. Curtis, Michigan is definitely one of those spots you got to consider for a week-long stay. And the reason is simple. All of these lakes are just filled with mom and pops resorts. You know, 4 cabins up to 30 cabins up on Pine Bluff. There's hundreds and hundreds of cabins available for rent in small resorts around Big and South Manistique Lake. It is a destination because as we were bass fishing, we had to literally get rid of the big bluegills off of our rubber worms. For kids coming out and just going bobber fishing with live bait in the shallows, there's maybe no better place to go than a small inland lake. And Curtis, Michigan has got 2 big inland lakes surrounded by lots of cabin rentals.
That's what we want. Here he comes.
And when the jig pops right out.
Jig pops off. Look at that.
Just, man, what a day.
What an awesome day. As usual, my friend Scott Cormier does it on the jigs, on the cutter worms. We caught a fish on a topwater.
Yeah, a couple, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, Curtis, Michigan and the Manistique Lakes system is an awesome fishery. Scott, you spent, what, decades catching these fish?
Yeah, and they've been here forever, and all these little lakes around this area are full of these fish.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us here today on Fisherman's Digest. We'll look forward to seeing you next time we're on the water. Thanks to Scott Cormier and to Strike King for putting good baits in our hand, in the hand of the right guy. I tried to keep up, but as usual, he kind of puts it to me at the end. We'll see you again next week on Fisherman's Digest.
Closed captioning is brought to you by WavePro. Best ride on the water. Online at waveproshock.com.